Hello everyone, annyeonghaseyo. My name is Imesh Pokharel. I'm the officer in charge of UN Office for Human Rights in Seoul. Let me welcome you all to this United Nations Strategic Framework Conference 2022. I would like to thank the PSCORE for organizing this event and bringing together youths and young practitioners to discuss sustainable development goals and human rights in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. This event is a good opportunity for you all to explore how the DPRK is implementing SDGs, its national development policies, interlinkages between human rights and SDGs, voluntary national review, and the UN role in the implementation of the SDGs in the DPRK, including the UN Strategic Partnership Framework. The active engagement of youths in the implementation of the SDGs is central to achieving sustainable, inclusive, and resilient societies. I hope this program will motivate you to contribute to the implementation of the SDGs globally or in the DPRK in any way you can, whether it be through advocacy, following sustainable behavior, engaging in humanitarian support, as a practitioner, or through promotional activities. The SDGs is grounded on human rights norms and standards. The human rights-based approach is central to implementing and achieving SDGs by ensuring equality and bringing the most marginalized and vulnerable population in the national development process. When you talk about SDGs, there is a common myth that it's only about development and economic and social rights. However, that is not the case. SDGs are equally about promoting civil and political rights. Public participation, freedom of expression and opinion, rule of law, accountability, independent institutions, civic space, non-discrimination and equality are all important for achieving sustainable development. Given the dire human rights situation in the DPRK, achieving SDGs will need a strong focus and good progress towards addressing ongoing and past human rights violations. Now let me touch on the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. The United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework is an agreement between the UN and the host government outlining the UN collective response to support development activities and national plans towards achieving the SDGs. In the DPRK, the current UN Strategic Partnership Framework 2017-21, which came into effect in January 2017, has 4 strategic priorities: food and nutrition security, social development services, resilience and sustainability, and data and development. Human rights-based approach, gender equality and empowerment, environmental and institutional sustainability has been identified as cross-cutting issues. This framework has been extended until the end of 2022. This year, the United Nations agencies will review the implementation of the partnership framework, undertake common country assessment, and together with the DPRK government will devise a new sustainable development cooperation framework. OSHR will support the UN agencies working in the DPRK with human rights information and analysis. As necessary, it will support the UN agencies and the government to mainstream human rights in planning, implementation, analysis, and reporting processes. The government of the DPRK has publicly expressed its full support to the implementation of the SDGs. In last July, it presented its first voluntary national report on the SDGs implementation. In the past years, we have witnessed some improvements in the socio-economic indicators regarding food, health, maternal mortality, child mortality, water and sanitation, vaccination, etc. However, there is still a lot to do. First and foremost, the DPRK needs to acknowledge that there are serious humanitarian, human rights, and development challenges in the country. It needs to be committed to addressing underlying vulnerabilities and ongoing and past human rights violations. This requires a long-term and profound reforms aimed towards inclusive, equitable, and sustainable development. The DPRK needs to be open to engagement with the international community and allow access to the UN and humanitarian agencies to reach out to the communities. The people of the DPRK must have every opportunity to participate and benefit from the development. Independent civil society, freedom of expression and association, public participation, rule of law, and accountability are all needed for sustainable development in the DPRK. Lack of data has been one of the key challenges to both develop effective programs and measure progress in the DPRK. It is therefore essential that the DPRK is transparent and provide data as well as allow access to the United Nations to assess the reality on the ground. The DPRK has closed its borders since the beginning of 2020 as a preventive measures against COVID-19. This has exacerbated the long-standing human rights concern, including deterioration of economic and social conditions, worsening food and health situation, and lack of livelihoods. Severe restrictions on civil and political rights also continue. Humanitarian operations, including UN agencies providing life-saving support, have not been able to return to the DPRK for a prolonged period, further risking the lives of the most vulnerable populations, including children, women, and people in detention. It is still not clear when the borders will be open and when the UN and humanitarian agencies will be able to return to the country. The international community is concerned that some of the socio-economic achievements made in the past years could be rolled back due to the global pandemic and the border closure. The international community continues to advocate the DPRK to implement a pragmatic policy that takes into account the health risks of the COVID-19 but also protects the basic rights of the population. The DPRK should use this crisis as a lesson learned and commit itself to build back better to advance people's rights and dignity. I thank you all for listening to me. I hope this event will expand your experiences and awareness about SDGs, human rights, and the humanitarian situation in the DPRK. We wish you a fruitful event. Kamsahamnida and thank you.